Welcome to this explainer. Today we're taking a highly focused, really measured look at a critical institutional framework. Specifically, we're diving into the newly redesigned Action Area 1 learning module on preventing sexual exploitation and abuse, or PSEA for short. Now, the framework we're looking at today didn't just appear out of nowhere. It's the direct result of some very strict technical feedback out of New York. And their mandate was incredibly clear. This is absolutely not some casual check-the-box awareness topic. This is an urgent operational requirement. So we're going to walk through this exact highly structured framework together to understand how leadership and accountability actually have to function on the ground. To really grasp the urgency here, we need to immediately put ourselves in the operational reality. Picture this kind of high-stakes scenario. Let's say a sudden influx of displaced families has literally just doubled the number of people relying on your operation for food, shelter, protection, and cash assistance. Your agency is scaling up at breakneck speed. You're recruiting temporary staff, you're signing contracts with brand new vendors, and you're spinning up new distribution points left and right. The operational risk in a moment like this, it's critically high. Needs are desperate, verification processes are weak, and the power imbalance between aid workers and the community is immense. And that intense operational reality brings us to this defining principle for senior leadership. When an operation scales faster than it safeguards, the risk of exploitation rises. Think about that for a second. It's a profound statement, right? It explicitly takes PSEA out of the realm of standard human resources or communications and elevates it right into a core executive control issue. If your operation is expanding and you don't have these safeguards firmly anchored in place first, you aren't just taking a risk, you're actively increasing the risk of harm. Now, this shift in perspective is exactly why that New York technical feedback demanded a total overhaul of how this is communicated. Out with the old, in with the new. There is absolutely no more casual phrasing, no more low-stakes, generic town hall examples, and definitely no more diluting the message for a general audience. The new mandate demands an authoritative tone, high-stakes operational pressure scenarios, strict professional branding, and crucially, completely separate audience tracks. Why? So that every single person knows exactly what they are accountable for. To make sure that accountability is structurally visible, the source material dictates a strict 5-section framework. We'll be following this today. We've got 1. Operational trigger. 2. Why this matters. 3. Distinct responsibilities. 4. Required actions. And 5. Resources and call to action. Let's jump right into the first one.
Section 1. The operational trigger.
It's a fundamental operational truth that the risk is there way before any actual misconduct is ever confirmed. We simply cannot wait around for a substantiated allegation before we kick our safeguards into gear. The standard here is totally uncompromising. Operational urgency cannot and must never override PSEA standards. The chaos of an emergency scale-up is literally never an excuse to bypass these controls. Leadership has to focus on baking PSEA into the decisions being made right now, before any harm occurs. We're talking about decisions on who we hire, which partners we bring on board, and how exactly we hand out aid.
Moving right along to Section 2, Why This Matters.
This phase is all about mapping the executive risk across your specific operation. You really have to zoom in on these particular pressure points. These are the exact vulnerabilities where those unequal power dynamics are the most dangerous. Things like the rapid recruitment of temporary staff, the potential for someone to manipulate registration lists, those urgent unmet needs at chaotic distribution sites, insecure referral pathways, and the fast-tracked onboarding of implementing partners. These are the operational cracks where exploitation takes root. And it's exactly where leaders have to embed strict PSEA controls.
Okay, Section 3. Distinct responsibilities.
Knowing the risk is really only half the battle, right? Knowing exactly who owns the mitigation is the other half. New York heavily emphasized that you can't just merge accountability into one big generic role. It has to be explicitly clarified across the different levels. So let's break these down. First up, if you're the resident coordinator, or RC, your job is to lead the collective posture of the UN country team. You're the one responsible for making sure a comprehensive country-level PSEA action plan actually exists. And you've got to guarantee that PSEA is a standing, prioritized item on the leadership agenda.
Now, if you're the humanitarian coordinator, or HC, your mandate is a bit different. It has a very specific operational focus within a humanitarian response. Your job is to make sure that cluster and sector leadership are actively weaving SEA risk management straight into operational planning, site management, aid distributions, and partner coordination.
And then we have the head of mission.
They have the distinct operational duty of maintaining strict discipline within the field mission itself. As head of mission, you're directly accountable for making sure misconduct prevention activities are vigorously enforced, and you're the one officially reporting on those measures under the mission-specific accountability setup. So because these roles are so distinct, the redesigned module separates the training into specific audience tracks. Let's look at Track A. This is designed purely for senior leadership, the RCs, HCs, and heads of mission we just talked about. This track is completely isolated to strategic executive decisions. We're not talking about granular field instructions here. This is all about strategic risk, executive accountability, directing resource allocation, and maintaining that high-level coordination and oversight.
If you're a senior leader, your internal posture has to reflect this exact approved mandate. My responsibility is to make PSEA visible in the decisions that matter. The standard is not that no allegations are heard. The standard is that the system is safe enough for concerns to surface and strong enough to respond. I mean, that right there is the ultimate test of an executive reporting system.
Stepping down from the executive level, let's look at Track B, which is totally tailored for PSEA focal points and coordinators. Notice the shift in language here. This track is all about a strict, technical, and compliance-driven focus. It's checklist management, tracking action plans, securing those referral pathways, and enforcing rigorous reporting discipline and documentation.
If you're the technical expert sitting in Track B, your mandate is crystal clear. Your technical role is to convert leadership commitment into traceable controls, confirm that focal points are designated and training is complete, escalate gaps early using evidence and timelines. Essentially, you are the vital operational bridge between what the executives are mandating and what's actually happening on the ground.
And finally, Track C. This is for the project managers and field supervisors. This track zeroes right in on the daily grind, the practical realities of program implementation. It's about actively spotting risks right there at the distribution gates, managing the community-facing controls, keeping a daily eye on partner monitoring, and ensuring that safe reporting mechanisms are highly visible and truly accessible to the community.
Now, for folks operating in Track C, the boundary of your responsibility is a hard line. As the guidance explicitly states, you do not investigate allegations, you ensure safe reporting, immediate referral, risk reduction, and documentation through the approved system. Your role is absolutely vital for identifying issues and routing them safely, but you are not the investigator.
Which brings us to Section 4, Required Actions.
All right, now that we've laid out the risks and defined the roles, these are the exact operational controls that have to be triggered before any expansion happens. This is your rapid-fire, actionable sequence. Number 1, set the tone. Explicitly state that urgency cannot override standards. Number 2, map executive risk. Pinpoint exactly where those power imbalances are hiding. Number 3, clarify accountability across the specific tracks we just went through. Number 4, trigger controls. Demand that action plans, reporting routes, and victim assistance pathways are fully reviewed before you expand. And finally, number 5, close the loop.
And that leads us to Section 5, Resources and Call to Action.
That crucial fifth step, closing the loop, is really where the framework succeeds or completely falls apart. Closing the loop demands a fundamental shift in executive behavior. You have to demand hard operational evidence, not just verbal reassurances. Leadership needs to be looking at data dashboards, maintaining detailed action logs, and holding people to strict follow-up dates. Seriously, if the controls aren't documented and traceable, they basically don't exist.
To actually pull this compliance off, you've got an official arsenal at your disposal. The practical toolkit for senior leaders, the IASC action plan template, risk assessment toolkits, the victim assistance protocol, and the deployment package. These aren't just suggested reading materials, they are your mandated operational templates.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with the core question that drives this whole framework. I want you to look closely at your current operations today. Look at your temporary staff, your new vendors, those bustling distribution sites, and ask yourself honestly, is your operation scaling faster than its safeguards? Because if the answer is yes, the risk of exploitation is already rising. Thanks so much for joining us and for your commitment to operational accountability.